This is the Art of Network Engineering podcast. In this podcast, we'll explore tools, technologies, and talented people. We aim to bring you information that will expand your skill sets and toolbox and share the stories of fellow network engineers. Welcome to the Art of Network Engineering. I am AJ Murray at No Blinky Blinky, and tonight I am joined by Andy. Andy, how are you? I miss you too. This is the first time I've seen you really since Asheville. This is it's so good to see you.
I know. It's good to see you too. I'm a little sad. I kind of miss the crew. I had a really good time. Today I unpacked all the stuff that I had packed away for the Asheville trip for our live podcast weekend thing. And it just brought me back to, the times we had. So
memories.
Yeah, I'm good. I miss you guys. We had a really nice, and I got to hear a little bit of the sneak peek today. Dan edited the first episode, and I'm just, it brought me right back. It was just such a nice time being with everybody. So
such a different dynamic when we're all sitting around the same table. There's no delay. There's no weird internet bullshit. It's just we can talk and we can see visual cues like, oh, it looks like Dan's about to talk because he's leaning into his mic. So I'm not going to say anything.
Or in Andy's case, I'm gonna cut over Dan. I'm gonna interrupt him. I love that rivalry y'all have. It really flourished, in Asheville. Really proud of y'all.
You jumped right in, shitbird. You were making fun of me in like 5 minutes in.
You make it so easy, Andy. What am I supposed to do? Just let everything float out there and not take advantage of at least one opportunity?
Lex, it's part of my charm. I just put those layups out there for everybody and let you guys slam them down.
We really appreciate your sacrifice, Andy.
Thank you. I do what I can. Thank you. You can thank me for my service.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
That's too funny. Too funny. Lexi at Track It Pacer. How are you?
Just thinking about aliens, AJ.
That was a really great conversation before we started recording. I hope we get back into it a little bit during the show.
Yeah, Andy brought up aliens, and we just started talking about it. Are we alone? Are we not? What's the deal?
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I've got. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe you'll get some insider information on the whole alien sitch that you could not share with us, like everything else about your job.
You know what? We'll see. How about you, AJ? How are you doing? Thinking about aliens?
I'm doing well. I love aliens. I'm a firm believer we are not alone in this world. So call me crazy. Don't call me crazy. I think the odds are that there's definitely stuff out there, and it's fun to think about. It's fun to talk about.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Had a good week so far.
But outside of, speaking of aliens, actually, my son is sick, and he's been acting like a little alien, so that's been real fun to have.
Aww.
Hanging around the house.
Little Tim doesn't feel good?
Wicked fever
Sorry,
today.
Tim.
He's been home. He was definitely not acting himself for like a good portion of the day, but I was still able to get some work done. Took care of him, checked in on him.
Poor guy.
But by tonight, man, he was bouncing off the walls. Like all that energy he didn't use this morning was like a rocket, dude. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Well, I am excited to introduce our guest this evening. I've had the pleasure of working with her, well, not working, but being alongside her as a Tech Field Day delegate on Networking Field Day 21 a couple of years ago. I am excited to welcome Kori Younger to the show. Kori, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm very excited.
Of course. I've been following you for years. Of course, like I just said, we got to hang out a little bit together. I think there was like a crossover, right? Like you were there for the first half of the week. I was coming in for the second half of the week, and we sat next to each other at dinner that night. And whoa, the shenanigans! That was my first field day experience. What a fun time that was.
Oh, I'm so sorry that you got indoctrinated by me. That is wildly unfortunate for you.
No, it was a good time.
I don't think I realized that was your first. Was that your first Tech Field Day
That was
event?
my first Tech Field Day event. Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're always a good time. I miss them.
Yeah. Hopefully we get to do them in person again soon.
Yeah. Well, now I I'll spill the beans. Now I work at Cisco, so now I can't be a tech field day delegate, and I just have to go cry watching field day events by myself from my own vendor scum world.
Yep, that's true. That's true. I forgot. Now that you're on the mothership, you cannot participate as a delegate anymore. That's one of the drawbacks of landing a job at Cisco and other OEMs. You can't play the games anymore. Can't have fun.
Yeah, not part of the cool crowd anymore.
So how long?
I think you're cool.
So how long have you been at Cisco?
I've been at Cisco since August of 2020. So as of right now, that is, I'm not going to do the math. It's been a long day, but it's almost
not quite 2 years.
Well, yeah, not quite 2 years. And I'm loving every minute of it. I think I was talking about earlier, I may have screwed myself over a little bit by landing a job at a company that I love so much so early on. Because I think Cisco would be a really hard place to leave. The people, the company, everything, they're great.
And that's awesome. That's great to hear. I've heard a lot of similar comments from other people I know that work at Cisco. So it's great to just continue to hear like how great it actually is. I mean, I have to say that like from my own personal experience, I'm a little bit jaded when it comes to like those best places to work because I've worked at places that won those awards. And it's a bunch of bullshit in my because like the places that I worked at that won those awards, like it must be like paying somebody to like give you the award or something like that. They make all the employees do a survey and it's based off the survey results. And I can tell you one year with this particular company I worked at, we did the survey and the CEO came to talk to the IT department because the IT department, like every single person in the IT department gave the company the lowest scores on the survey. And they're like, why is that? We got to figure this out because we almost didn't get the award this year because of you guys.
Well, if the IT department wasn't blamed for the entire company's problems, maybe they would have gotten some higher scores.
Right?
Yeah.
But I digress. I know Cisco's a great place to work, and it's really awesome that you are there. So great to hear. Let's talk about how you got into tech. Yeah, I know that you've been doing, the blogging thing for a little while. So you've definitely been around IT for a little bit. So what got you started?
Yeah. The TLDR, too long didn't read version is that my mom conned me into it. So I started college as a pre-med major. I thought I wanted to go to med school. My mom and my dad both worked in the technology industry. My dad on the sales side, my mom on the engineering and systems engineering side. And, I went my sophomore year and saw a cadaver lab and was like, ooh, maybe I do not want to do this. Because organs kind of freaked me out. I also don't think that I would have ever gotten into med school, but the origin story for both my brother and I. My brother also works in the technology industry. It is the same. My mom brought us to Cisco Live. My sophomore year, my mom brought me to Cisco Live and HP Discover and VMworld. And, in between OEM parties and partner parties in Vegas, there was, a little bit of education there. And I actually changed my major from the floor at Cisco Live. I had applied, I kind of already knew that I wanted to go into IT already. So I had actually applied to a different school in order to do so and ended up changing, selecting that major from Cisco Live. So that was the beginning of it. And then, as you said, we were Tech Field Day delegates together. So believe it was 2018, got a big family hug from the Tech Field Day crew. And they really, I owe my career to them because I got to learn so much so fast from so many great people like yourself. And that was the beginning of it. And then, finishing college and all the important things that you tell your kids to do. So that was a bit of the beginning. I don't know if you want me to go through the full, where I went after college and how I ended up at Cisco, but that's the origin.
Yeah. What did you major in college?
Yeah, I majored in business, but got my minor in information systems and cybersecurity. And the program I was at is actually a Department of Homeland Security, like a NSA, DHS School of Excellence for cybersecurity. So
cool.
I was very lucky to have that in St. Louis. I had actually, the school that I graduated from was the third school that I attended. I started at the University of Missouri, or Mizzou, was there for my freshman and sophomore year, and then transferred to St. Louis University. I had a professor confuse RAM and ROM at that university. So then I transferred to University of Missouri in St. Louis, which is a smaller sister school of Mizzou's. So yeah, I was very lucky.
What was the first job out of college? First tech job?
So first job out of college was Cisco, but I actually took my first full-time job while I was still working.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So, like I said, I got involved in the tech field day community, and amongst that journey, I ended up interning a little bit for the guys over at Tech Field Day, and I got to go to RSA with them. In that, this is, I guess the other part of the origin story of like my specific nerd bubble of technology. So in that, there was a hallway conversation with someone in the aerospace industry, and they told me, hey, computers are just really big planes. And then I started looking into cybersecurity attacks in the aerospace industry, and like the fact that you could take over the navigation system of an airplane from a computer. And that it had happened before.
Whoa.
And yeah, so before I actually graduated college, I had this really cool opportunity at an OT software startup as industrial automation software. And I took that job working in the manufacturing industry for a year, basically just to learn, and we were a startup. So best case scenario, I was thinking, hey, maybe we get bought out and I become a gazillionaire. That did not happen, but I did get to learn some really cool stuff. So.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, I gotta say.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the conferences for a second? So your mom took you to a bunch of conferences. I mean, was this a master plan of hers? Were you unhappy in pre-medish school? Like, why would she take you guys to a bunch of tech conferences all at once?
This was 110% her master plan. Because she had done it a year or two prior with my older brother, who also wanted to go to med school. I don't think either of us ever actually wanted to be doctors. We're just very competitive with each other and wanted to have impressive careers. So my brother was pre-med, so then I was pre-med, and I'm a few years behind him. And so we actually began our transition to technology, only 1 year apart from each other, because his was right as he was graduating college, and mine was, that sophomore, junior year. I don't know what my sophomore and junior year were because it took me so long to graduate, but in my second and third year there. So I wasn't, I was considering technology at the time. And like I said, I went into a cadaver lab and realized that I couldn't do it. I also, I wasn't wildly unhappy studying biology and genetics and chemistry. I love the way that all works. But I just don't think it would have been a career that I was successful at. I think I would have loved it, but I don't think I would have made it.
I think your intro sounds so cool and so much fun. Like, just go to a bunch of conferences. Like, I have yet to be at a tech conference, right? And you hit them all. Like,
same.
And we're like, I want to do this.
That.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. I'm actually going to Cisco Live this year. Well, I guess pending my mom going. She's already booked the hotel. And Cisco is not sending me to Cisco Live, but she's going for work. And so the hotel will be paid for. So I will fly out and, buy a guest badge just like she did for me when I was younger, and be able, like, the stuff you learn just from the show floor is awesome. Like, and education is so far behind. Like I said, I had a professor confuse RAM and ROM. So definitely learned a lot more from the community and the industry than I did.
Hope that's not
my first few years
typical.
At school. No.
Yikes.
Yeah. The traffic network asked they won't even let you in for free when you work for Cisco. No. I learned this very recently that Cisco actually has to, I don't know if I'm allowed to share that, but yeah, Cisco has to pay for Cisco employees to go to Cisco Live. So it's still a privilege to get to attend, even as a Cisconian.
Cisconian.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think it's because a third party actually like runs the conferences, like Cisco pays them or whatever. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like having a mom working in tech, right? Like, were there maintenance windows? Was she like, I don't know if my kids who are still very young get the impression from me that like, I don't know how I'm portraying my tech career to my little children, especially when I was like working a lot of maintenance windows and stressed out with outages and getting woken up at 2 a.m. Like, how was that for you?
Yeah. So my earliest memory of my mom working in technology is me sitting under a desk while she was working. And I have no idea what she was actually doing or who she was working for at the time, but I just have this vivid memory of being with her while she was working. And then, once I was kind of old enough to understand what she did, she was working for VARs at the time. She worked for CDW for a very long time. She also did consulting on the education side. She actually taught the program that I'm in now. Yeah. And then now she's working at Worldwide. But yeah, my very first memory is her being with her, on a after hours project while she was I presume she was trying to troubleshoot some dumpster fire.
Almost like you were born to be in tech. You have a powerful resource with you at all times for that.
Yeah. So when I entered the industry, or I guess when I started going to conferences, I didn't realize how much I already knew just from, my mom and my dad having conversations over Emo's Pizza, on the commercial breaks of Survivor. So that was like, we're definitely the nerdiest family. Like, our Thanksgivings would probably suck to anyone from the outside. I think it's really cool, but in fact, I'm working on a data center team right now, and my mom is a data center guru, as I would describe her. And I'd actually called her up to ask about the Nexus dashboard API just a week or so ago. It was funny because I called, my mom instead of reaching out to someone at Cisco.
Potato.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So you worked at a startup, and then you graduated college, and now you're at Cisco.
And now I'm at Cisco. I left the startup for cultural differences. I actually quit in April and did not start working at Cisco until August. So I lived the life. I, was a part-time contractor actually for our parent company, or I guess partner company, from the startup, which was very funny to leave the startup and then work for our partner as a contractor. I also, did a little bit of bartending, learned that I am not a good bartender because I like to talk to people too much. Was a babysitter. It was a great summer. I lived by the beach, so I was living the life for a few months.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that sounds
Nothing
great.
wrong with that at all. That's
so
great.
Then Cisco came around. How did that happen?
Oh, by a stroke of a miracle. There was some divine intervention, maybe alien intervention. I have no idea what it was, but so like I said, my mom taught for the program that I'm in, which is it's the CSAT program. It's a pretty competitive program to get into. Like I know this year we had over 40,000 applicants globally, and
whoa,
yeah.
So wait a minute. What was the acronym you just threw out there?
CSAP.
What is this
CSAP,
program?
it's the Cisco Sales Associate program, I believe is what the acronym stands for.
And 40,000 people applied?
Yeah, 40,000 people applied this
God.
last year. And I believe the international group of ASE's associate systems engineers and associate sales reps was just around 190. So
Holy cow.
Wait, they took 190 out of the 40,000 applicants?
Yeah, I didn't know that figure until I think day 2. They gave us that number and we're just like, hey, if you're having imposter syndrome, it's okay, but just so you know, like you're meant to be here for a reason.
Wow.
Yeah, I have like goosebumps right now even talking about it. I don't know how I got in. I had actually, so the program, because of COVID and everything, the way the program works is Cisco has they have a really great sales summer internship. So those folks typically interview first, and then if there are more seats left, or maybe they always have seats to external, I don't know what the ins and outs are, but then external applicants apply and interview, and there was some uncertainty on whether or not the program was going to happen this year. So I guess, interns and early applicants had applied, gotten offers, and then there was a freeze. And they're like, hey, we don't know if the program's going to happen. And then the early spring came around and they got their offers. So, and then at that point, they thought that was all the seats for the CSAP program. So I had actually reached out. I'd been applying for regular SU roles at Cisco because I knew I wanted to leave the startup at that time. And in talking to some of the hiring managers, they knew I was early in my career. And I had asked, about the CSAP program and if it was still going on, if they knew anything about it. And as far as I knew, offers had been extended and applications were no longer open. So I reached out to the recruiting coordinator and she was like, yeah, you missed the deadline. We already extended our offers. And, I'd gone on LinkedIn and I saw everybody posting their acceptance. And I was heartbroken. But, about a week later, she contacted me back. She was like, hey, there may be something. I'm not positive yet, but there may be something. And the Meraki team, the way CSAP works, different sections in Cisco, they can sponsor a CSAPper. So the Meraki team was looking to sponsor a CSAP seat. So it was just one more spot. And I interviewed for that. I got through, there's a software skills, like a programming skills assessment. I got through that. And then the personal interview after that and got the sorry, you are no longer in the pool email, the thanks, but no thanks email. And I was like, well, crap. I didn't expect to get in anyway. Like I said, it's a pretty hard program to get into. And then I realized it was May 6th. I realized that I had missed a call from an unknown number and not listened to the voicemail. I listened to the voicemail and it was the HR person or recruiting coordinator saying, hey, a little bit more headcount has opened up. Are you interested in starting the interview process again? And so I missed that voicemail for a week. And I called them back on the Monday and I was like, is there any way that this has not been filled already? Yeah. And so from that pool, I think there were probably 2 more people hired after that, that May timeframe. And so from the beginning of May, the rest of my interviews happened, through the month of May. And then I got my offer in the beginning of June and then started in August.
Wow.
Wow. So you weren't kidding when you said it was like, you barely got in there. That's awesome though. That must have felt really wild to go through, like an emotional roller coaster, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely was an emotional roller coaster. I cried when I got my job offer. And there's a picture of me sitting on the couch. I was eating fettuccine Alfredo. And there's a picture of me with a Tupperware container holding my phone and crying because I had opened up the email. Yeah. Someone in the chat asked how many interviews happened for that program. There were, it was the initial interview, and then you submit a 30-second about me, and then a 2-minute, kind of why Cisco short video. And then after that, you, if you're selected to go through with the process, then you have a software assessment to complete, and then a personal interview. Like I said, after that was when I got the thanks but no thanks email. And then I had two more personal interviews. And then there's a assessment center, which is typically it's done in person. It's an entire day of interviews. You give a technical presentation, you do a whiteboarding session, and then you have two just personal interviews.
Wow.
But it's not, I think getting into the program is less about your technical acumen and more, just getting the cohort to work together. Because I have like 50 best friends now. Typically everybody lives together, it's like a bunch of people up in Raleigh and they all live in the same apartment building and are roommates, and like college 2.0. It's a Cisco fraternity.
Are you saying like soft skills were probably very important for that process, or,
Yeah, okay. I think so.
Okay.
Because, everybody, so in order to be eligible for the program, you have to be within 2 years of graduating college. And so it's not like people have years and years of field experience. There's a guy in our cohort who worked in Cisco Tech. So he is like a genius. He is our go-to guy for everything technical. But, there are people in our cohort who were kind of not random, but were different majors who are on the technical side of the program. There is one, I think it was like an international politics and national security major that now is going to be a systems engineer. And she is one of the brightest humans I know. She's my work bestie. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had no idea there was like a program like that at Cisco. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe VMware has one as well that may be pretty similar.
Wow.
It's definitely for anyone like early in career wanting to get into technology.
Why didn't we know about opportunity? This? Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic opportunity. Why didn't we know about this, guys? I've never heard of this
best kept secret, maybe. I don't know.
This is why we talk to people like Kori.
Yeah.
So we can learn things and spread the word, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like if anybody's listening and has kids or is listening and, is soon to be graduating or has kids who are soon to be graduating and want to talk about the program, they can reach out. Cyber Kori on Twitter. Cyber Kori. I'm happy to talk about it. It is the best thing. CSAP's the best thing that ever happened to me. We go through, I've gotten my CCNA, my DevNet Associate, and then I'm gearing up to take my CCNP enterprise networking right now. And you get all three of those certs in the program. And you also go through pretty intense boot camp training in all the Cisco architectures, not only from a Cisco perspective, but also just, like what the heck is like layer 3 switching. And what is a data center? Like there are people in my cohort who, knew what a server was, but not really. Yeah, and they train you up, and now everybody's, CCNA, soon to be CCNP, and
dang,
yeah,
man.
I think it's important to highlight too the fact that you still applied knowing the percentage that got in. Right? Like I'm not a math guy, but I divided 190 by 40,000 and I got some number that looks really small.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 0.4%, but like, oh my God.
I think,
like don't don't let odds stop you from pursuing something, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 0.04%, which I believe it's, or it may be 0.4%. I believe it's
I think it's 0.4.
Yeah.
My math.
Okay.
Thank you for making me feel good about my math. But like, that's insane. If somebody were to tell you, like, you have a 0.4% chance of getting in here.
I knew.
And like,
I knew it was hard, but I had no idea that it had that many applicants until I actually started. Yeah, I had absolutely no idea.
You almost don't want to know that, right? Like that's discouraging in some ways, right? Even if you try not to let it happen, like I feel like that would definitely affect me if I were applying, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of my own career, and like I went after things that maybe I shouldn't, not even sure I was fully qualified for, and kind of was surprised I got, right? And
I think you guys.
That's kind of what we've tried to say here is like, go after
that's the
those
secret.
dream things, right?
Just do it. Even if, every indication that you can't do it, just do it. I think that's like the theme of that's like our secret sauce that we found over like the last however long this podcast has existed, right?
What do they say? Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah, just fucking do it.
Apparently
it will happen.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that was a common thread through a certain episode with a very special lady who happens to be here right now. It was just, even if you don't think that you're qualified for a job, like just apply. You have
it is
no
the theme
idea.
of every single position that I've ever gotten in tech, which is only 2 so far, but I anticipate it continuing on. I will just continue to not be qualified for anything and still get a job.
Yeah.
You will be an astronaut.
Yeah, you know what?
Yes.
I might as well, because sorry, this isn't a show about me, but it is a good theme. I love our theme. It's hilarious and wonderful.
But there's parallels.
Yeah.
I mean, Kori, that's unbelievable that, wow. Like it's just so impressive that you've done that. Despite the odds.
I had a mentor who's at Cisco. So I previously at the startup, I worked with the aerospace and defense industry a lot. And so going into Cisco, I had a mission of, I want to continue that work, and I'm pretty passionate about the public sector and the federal team over at Cisco. And so while I don't know exactly what the future holds for me at Cisco, where I'll actually end up in the field. I had a mentor very early on tell me, if you want to work for someone, if you want a job and you want to work for someone, be bold and tell them, hey, I want to work for you. Here's why I want to work for you, even if they don't have a job open. And I did. I think that's kind of what I did going into CSAP was, hey, I missed, I know you guys already sent out job offers to people, but can we have a conversation anyway? And, look what it led to. And then, my mentor giving me that advice, I definitely, the world, like everybody likes talking to people, and you just gotta tell people your intent and be respectful and kind of ask for what you want. And I think that
say it again, ask for what you want.
Ask for what you want. Like, we're all shy engineers, like nerds, but we gotta beef up our chest sometimes and ask, say what we want. And if you're passionate about it, there's a good chance that you just might get it.
So you worked in aerospace for a little while.
Yeah.
Are you, so you talked about, you're still passionate about that sector of technology. Do you still get involved? Like, how does that look for you at the moment?
Yeah. At the moment, it just looks like a lot of research. So industrial networking and industrial control security is my, as I refer to it, my nerd bubble. Because, it's still networking and security and wireless. It's just, I perceive it as a little higher stakes. Like, instead of just risking, a data leak, you're risking, an airplane going down, or a Humvee not working, or a water system going down, or say the water purification system. not working, and then an entire town gets sick or an energy grid goes out. Like we saw what happened in Dallas a few years ago when they lost power. It's like actual human lives at stake. So, and there's, it's shiny and interesting because it's not just IP. There's some other protocols in play, and we're trying to figure out how to make those meld together. So, yeah, right now it's just a lot of research. Until I get to the field. Cisco is actually doing a lot in that space with the convergence of IT and OT. So I've been shadowing the IoT teams a lot. Actually, I'm going to get hands-on with our cyber vision tool, which is like a network monitoring cybersecurity tool, but actually will read non-traditional protocols. So they'll read, it recognizes Siemens proprietary protocol and Rockwell's protocol. So I get to go down to Tampa to play around a little bit in a few months here. So
I'm so jealous. That sounds awesome. I didn't know.
Lexi, we need to nerd out so hard.
I know. We got to talk. We got to talk. Hey everyone, it's Lexi, aka Track It Pacer, or as my coworkers now know me, that little gremlin that keeps crawling in and out of the server racks. I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of the USNUA? So let me throw 3 topics at you. Number 1, network engineering. Number 2, no annoying sales pitches. And number 3, beer. Does it get any better? Have you ever wished you could have someone to chat with in person about network design that isn't trying to sell something to you? If your answer is yes, then let me tell you, you need to check out the USNUA. The US Networking User Association is a group of fellow network engineers that like to openly chat about all things networking. And the added bonus, there's no selling. These user group meetings are completely devoid of OEM agendas. That means no pushy salespeople cornering you after the meeting, trying to squeeze you for that next purchase order while you're just there to get mildly buzzed and talk about VXLAN or something. Find out all the goodness of the USNUA, that's the US Networking User Association, by going to usnua.com. We hope to see you at the next meetup in your area. Cool. There are some really, really interesting, like, I guess do you call them industrial protocols? Like, I'm still learning. Like, yeah. The industrial side of things and aerospace have a lot of similarities and use a lot of the same sort of stuff in some areas. So it's interesting learning about it because it's all this stuff that I never even knew existed. I didn't know there were so many proprietary protocols, to be honest. And that, industrial stuff and automation has its own sort of bubble, kind of like you said, right? Yeah. Like it's all networking, but it's a different flavor for sure.
Yeah. And it's like super quick nerd tangent. If your security tools can't do packet inspection because they don't understand the protocol, like that traffic is still going through your network and there can still be like malicious packets attached to that traffic and it's still in your network. It can still do harm and it can seep through the cracks a lot easier. So I get so jazzed up talking about this. I could talk about this for hours and hours.
Yeah, well, we need to talk.
I think it's cool.
That's super cool. Yeah. It's like a whole nother aspect like I hadn't heard of, therefore I hadn't considered. I didn't know like there was still proprietary protocols like that floating around, but it makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
I never even heard of industrial security before. That's like such a cool, I don't know why it keeps coming to mind, but I remember there was something years back where there was somewhere overseas, they were trying to stop enriching plutonium or something. And I think they did it with like a virus, right? Like they got in and somehow killed their centrifuge and like
in
they
Israel,
do you know what I'm talking about?
I forget what it was called. That specific, like no one officially like took credit for that.
But I mean, that's based. Right. But that's basically industrial security in a sense, right? Like somebody got through their attack surface and got through, right? Got in.
Yeah. And
that's such a cool area to work in. I didn't even.
Scary too, I think.
Like there are switches in manufacturing machines. Like the IT and the OT space, it's funny because the teams oftentimes don't get along, but they are very, very similar. Like they are reliant on each other, especially with how like industrial manufacturing and just industrial modernization and automation, like the trends in the industry now. The industrial side of the house is becoming more reliant on IT. And so IT, you know, we gotta figure it out.
Can you, so you're using acronyms and
sorry.
No, it's great. It's great. Could you just explain, like, you said IT and OT, what do those stand for?
Yeah. Information technology, IT, and then OT. I believe it's operational technology, but just, OT is things and IT is people, and, you know, or, you know, we think of, IoT is things. OT is also things. Industrial IoT is really big things.
Okay. I was familiar with IT, but just want to make sure it wasn't like a special application of like industrial technology or something like that. Okay, cool.
No.
Thank you for asking, Lex. I thought she was just working overtime.
Yeah, sorry.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's a fascinating field. I love hearing about it from you because I think you might be the first person to talk about it on the podcast. Am I right? I think you are.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating.
And this is probably why Lexi can't tell us anything about her job, because there's an attack surface that, you know, you can't open up, right? Like there's proprietary stuff going on that you don't want.
Yeah, I can't tell you how we're using our network. Then that would definitely be like a secure. Are you kidding? Yeah. That would be a concern.
Yeah. All right, I'll stop asking. Yeah. Sorry. Now that I know what Kori's talking
about.
I
love just saying no every time, Andy.
I will not.
You like it a little too much.
We will not dive into all the attack vectors from an industrial perspective, just in case there's any bad guys listening. But
so wait, now you got my wheels moving. When you say like proprietary protocols, what are you talking about?
So IP is, you know, we all know internet protocol. Everybody's gear, you know, everybody understands IP and it's open. But the proprietary protocols, they're just, nobody understands them. So in order to do packet inspection on, say, Siemens proprietary protocol, you either have to reverse engineer that protocol, or you have to establish a partnership with them and allow them, you know, Siemens will actually open up that protocol to you. But I think like in the early days of networking, there used to be more proprietary protocols, if I'm correct, and then we standardized for the good of all humans.
A lot of stuff started out as
so were attackers.
Sorry, go ahead. No,
sorry, Lex.
I'm just.
Well, are attackers using IP? Like where my mind went when you said proprietary protocols and that packet inspection couldn't catch them. Like are rogue actors using weird proprietary protocols that something like a firewall can't pick up, and that's how they're getting through? Or am I totally in bonker land?
No, you're not in bonker land. It is. So if a hacker were to go from an industrial machine that communicates with one of these protocols that traditional security tools don't understand, then we can't break down those packets. We can't see into them. So then we can't see malicious packets or malicious data there. But there's you know, switches in manufacturing machines, and you know, these machines are now connected to the internet, or well, not the internet, but the network. You know, hopefully they're not connected to the World Wide Web. But you know, if a manufacturing engineer can send a part file from, you know, one side of the facility, or maybe even a different facility, to the shop floor, like we all know, in order for us to communicate across floors, like we have to go through multiple different LANs to get there. So same thing when you're communicating with an industrial machine. If you're not, you know, plugged right in, you're going through multiple switches to get over to that machine. So it's same as networking, just a different language.
But so you want you want networking equipment that can read proprietary and maybe like, not really what we'd think of as traditional networking protocols that are open, so that in case somebody, it seems like there's a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Like it seems like there's a lot of different protocols someone might be able to take advantage of just in case you have like hardware that doesn't read that protocol, they could get in unnoticed.
Yep.
Basically, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm definitely like, I'm not the expert on this. This has been an interest of mine.
You are in this panel.
It's been an interest of mine since 2018, but it's been a lot of self-learning. So I would say that brings us to another topic. Like the thing I learned in boating school was, the thing I learned early in career was that I don't know anything at all. That like, I think in college, you think you're so smart and you have everything figured out because you're just a dumb young kid. And then you get into the real world and you're like, oh, there's a lot more that I don't know than that I do know. So I have some very smart mentors at Cisco who have been doing the industrial networking side and industrial security side of things for, forever. Who can probably answer questions a lot better than I can, but I'm happy to share what I know.
Did you say boating school?
Yeah, it's a SpongeBob reference.
Red Right Return?
No, it was a SpongeBob reference.
I thought you were actually, well, you live by the water. I didn't know if you were actually getting your boat license. Sorry.
No. I've been very lazy about getting my boating license because it's actually free in Florida to get your boating license. But I just keep doing the 90-day temporary license every time I rent a boat because it's faster and easier. And then I just keep redoing it. I should probably get that done. I actually, when I first moved down here, I bought a sailboat before I knew how to sail and became a boater. Fun fact.
A boater.
Yeah.
Wow.
I built, I guess a sailor. So because of COVID, I bought the boat, a little 15-foot sailboat, no motor, to learn how to sail. And it came without a boom, which is, the kind of the crossbar on a sailboat. And because of COVID, the supply chain issues, I wasn't going to get this boom for like 6 months, but it was summer and prime sailing season. So my friends and I built a boom out of PVC pipe and duct tape and hardware.
Wow.
And I sailed
Nice.
on a janky boat made of PVC pipe.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
This isn't the show for it, but how the hell do you go that way when the wind's blowing that way? I think it's got something to do with tacking, but I don't understand it.
Yeah. I don't understand it either. I taught myself.
You gotta go diagonal for a while, right?
Yeah. I don't know. You gotta lean into the wind. And when you stop moving, that means that you're doing something wrong. But I am not a good sailor. I one time broke my boat and sun was setting and I had to jump out of my boat and swim my boat back to shore, probably like a third of a mile.
Oh my gosh.
In the channel. Like and I'm not a great swimmer and it was like getting dark out. And so I'm pulling this boat by the rope attached to the front of it, like trying to swim to shore with my rigged up boat made of PVC pipe with a broken rudder. And I am no one to be giving sailing advice. That's for sure.
That sounds like the more fun version of sailing to me. Breaking your boat and then driving back to shore every time. Awesome. Yeah. So how are you liking Cisco then?
I love it. The program that I'm in is very intense. It's almost like a master's in IT or like a master's in Cisco, I guess. It's a strong year of drinking the Kool-Aid and getting certs, and basically living work 24/7, because you're in class and then you study for your certs, and outside of that there's this really amazing group of people going through the same thing you do. So we spend countless hours just on WebEx talking to each other. But I love it. Like the people at Cisco, I don't think that I would be able to go through something so intense if it weren't for the good people that surround me. Like not just the people in my cohort, but my mentors. And, we get the opportunity to shadow account teams. And there are a few teams who they are working on industrial networking projects. And because of my interest in it, they've pulled me in and allowed me to not only shadow customer meetings, but, be an active participant. And it is the coolest experience to just learn hands-on. Like when, as a systems engineer, do you get to just like kind of take a trial run without any accounts of your own? Like never. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like a
really
great
cool
support network for sure. That's awesome. It's the best way to learn, right? With all that support. That's fantastic.
Will you get to pick your area at the end, or will they kind of plug you in where they need you? Like you think you'll be able to get into industrial cyber something or another?
Fingers crossed. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have learned so many ins and outs of corporate world bullshit, to be honest.
Yes.
Thank you.
Like
that's the real education.
And headcount gets allocated. I'm like, this is insane. Can someone just tell me when there's a job I can apply to? But
wait, so is there management?
I don't know,
is there like a management training as well in here, or like is that part of it?
Not in the management training. This is just pain from.
Okay, all right.
Like we already learned. I am, as somebody described to me today. Actually, I refer to myself as a squeaky wheel because squeaky wheels get oil. But he said I should call myself a wind chime because it sounds a lot nicer. Still making a lot of noise, but at least it's typically pleasant. But anyway, so I came into Cisco, and my master career plan, right, was that I was going to go do this OT thing, the industrial automation thing at the startup for a little while, learn that side of the house, and then come back and learn traditional networking and security and wireless, and get my bearings there in the traditional IT world. And then early on I realized, and then marry it down the road, right? Like I thought the industrial networking piece of my career would be able to come 5-10 years later. And then I learned that there's the possibility to do it at Cisco. So very early on at my time at Cisco, I reached out to some senior leaders and told them, like we said, I'm a wind chime. So I made noise and told them, hey, this is my intent. This is my area of interest. And here's what I'm doing to learn. And I hope there's a possibility that I can do this after the program. And right now it's just kind of waiting to see if that happens. There's definitely, as a general SE, there's the ability we all have our passion points. So there's the ability to still maintain, that specialty a little bit while being a generalist. But who knows if I will get there right after the program or if I'll get there eventually. I will get there eventually. I just don't know when it'll be.
Oh yeah. If you're a wind chime, you'll get there eventually for sure. Hopefully sooner rather than later, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's been a very cool journey. I know this is going to become a podcast and nobody's going to be able to see, but I'm like beaming right now because I am just so grateful for like what this past year has been. Like I look back on my life like 2 years ago and I'm like, or I guess 3 years ago, and I'm like, how the heck is this my life right now? This is awesome.
I feel you on that one for sure. Yeah. That's great.
We do have YouTube versions of our podcast, so people will be able to see you.
Enjoy the beam.
Soak it up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I see you've been knocking out the exams. You mentioned you got the CCNA and the DevNet, and now you're working on your Encore. I feel like every time I sign into LinkedIn, you're posting another win. You most recently just did the DevNet Associate. What has that experience been like for you? Like you said, it's like a boot camp, and they're just like throwing a bunch of stuff at you, and then you take the exam. Like how do you knock these out so quickly?
Yeah. So the boot camp is more focused on architectures. We have a few kind of structured lab. When we were going through our CCNA, we had some structured labbing sessions to get hands-on with things. But the certifications, so they're program requirements. Like on the systems engineering track, we have to get our CCNA, CCNP Enterprise, and DevNet Associate during the program. Like to graduate the program, you get those within the year. And
within a year. Oh my gosh.
Within a year. Yeah. Ooh. Like I said, I pretty much like sleep, eat, breathe my job right now. And I love it, right? Like it's absolutely amazing. But it's a lot of study sessions with the cohort. Like it's definitely easier when you have 20 other people doing it alongside you, and you can hop on a WebEx and whiteboard with each other and run through. Boson is a study tool that Cisco provides to us. We can run through Boson exams and talk through why this answer is the right answer and why that one isn't the right answer. Mm-hmm. But I have never passed a certification on my first attempt. So it has not
share
been...
the fail.
Same.
Right. So CCNA, I got it on my second attempt. That one was pretty good. DevNet, I actually sat for the exam 6 times before I got it.
For you.
6 times. I kept taking it every week until I passed it because, like I said, it's a program requirement. And I was, my first attempt or two, absolutely bombed the exam. Like I thought there's no way that I passed the exam. This is absolutely terrible. I'm never going to get through this. And then bunkered down and started, getting hands-on and went through a DevNet Express course and just like ramped up the studying and then somehow eventually passed it. I actually, on my 5th attempt, I was on question 80 out of 107 and I was taking the exam online and got my exam revoked for leaving view of the screen. Cause I couldn't find my glasses before the exam. So, like your check-in time is approaching and I was like running throughout my house looking for my glasses. I couldn't find them. And so I'm in the middle of this exam and I lean forward into my camera to read, or into my computer to read the coding blurbs that are the answer choices. And I guess, I got so close to the screen that they counted that as an exam violation and I got my exam revoked. It was so anxiety inducing. That was probably the worst 24 hours of my life.
I'm so sorry. That's such bullshit.
Yeah, but Cisco is amazing. Like I asked Pearson if I could review my video because I was like, how the heck? Like I didn't get up and move, and so I really did not think that I had a bone. I still have a bone to pick with them. I didn't think I had like actually violated any rules. So I was like, send me the tapes. Let me see the receipts. Let me validate at least that I did actually break a rule. And they would not. And their review process can take up to 30 days. So here I am, it's my second cert at Cisco. I've been working at Cisco less than a year. And I have to tell my manager, like, I got my exam revoked. It could be 30 days before I figure out like what the consequences are from this. I don't get my score report released until their investigation is over. And of course, like when you check all the boxes before you take your exam, there's the terrifying warnings that you could be barred from exams for life. Like it's anything from, hey, you have to retake the exam to you're banned from Cisco for life and you get all your certs revoked. And so I was just like a bundle of nerves for 24 hours. And then someone from the developer advocate team and the Cisco learning communities team reached out, and they were like, hey, we heard what happened. We're going to see if we can take a look at the video and see what happened. And so they did, and Cisco issued a voucher, and I was able to take the exam 5 days later and passed it. After I think that situation probably took like 10 years off my life.
Oh my gosh, that's grueling.
Yeah. God.
Way to persevere.
I don't have a choice.
I love the test from home option, but I've been snapped at by a proctor too for pretty much the same thing, because I was trying to take the exam on my work laptop because work paid for it or whatever, and I couldn't get logged in, and it was like 15 minutes before my exam's like set to start. I'm like, shit. So I grabbed my MacBook, and the resolution on that thing was ridiculously high, and I was able to like get in. But this similar situation, right? Like I have pretty good vision. I don't need glasses. But when this questions came up, I had to like lean in to like see what the hell I'm looking at. And the proctor's just like, back up, you're too close. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I can't see your whole face. You do that again, I'm gonna close the exam. Whoa.
Yeah, it's like, what am I possibly, is there like a tiny leprechaun sitting in front of my screen?
You think I got like Post-it notes on the other side I'm looking at or something?
Yeah.
Like,
Cheaters ruin it for everyone.
You know what's behind my laptop.
Exam dumps are why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, it's stupid, honestly. Like, that makes me so mad.
It's all because of exam dumps.
For another time. Yeah. I like to think that the proctor had in their mind that there was a tiny leprechaun man chanting command line, or I guess not chanting command line, like chanting like API lines to me. And that's what they thought was happening.
It's like standing on your monitor. It's A. It's A.
Yeah, like hopping around the keyboard. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's great.
Yeah.
So what's next? So how much longer do you have left before you graduate the program?
Yeah, the program finishes in July. So it's
coming right up.
Coming right up. And I think we have a deadline every week until the end of June. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is intense. And we're all interviewing for jobs, trying to figure out what the next step is. We have a soft spot to land at Cisco. Right now I'm on the global virtual engineering data center team. So, if I do not find a field role by the end of the program, I'll transition into that team, which is interesting because data center is definitely my weak spot. So I think my manager may have done that on purpose to be like, you will learn data center. That's where we are now. And then after the program, I think I want like a 6-month break from certs. And then
well, you're on such a roll, you should just go right for CCIE. I mean, come on.
Oh my God.
So,
AJ. Stop it.
Okay. There is that thing there, right? Of now the EN core exam is basically, it's the written exam for CCIE Enterprise.
Yep. Just got to go do the lab.
Yeah. Oh, just got to go
That's
do
all
the
you got to
lab.
do.
Yeah, AJ, just go do the lab. It's fine. Don't dedicate a year and a half of your life to studying and, go
Kori,
fail
just
a
go
lab
sailing when this is over.
Yeah.
Don't listen to AJ. Go sailing.
I do think I'm going to attempt my DevNet professional after this, because the CCNP EN, the second exam for that I'm taking is EN Auto. And EN Auto counts as one of the exams for your DevNet professional exam. So if I can knock out, 2 certs and 3 exams.
2 professional level certs and 3 exams. That's a great move. I was on that. I was going to do that. I was doing a lot of data center stuff, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do DC Core, DC Auto, and then Dev Core and get the two. But that got derailed. I'm doing a little bit less data center now and a lot more enterprise. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I might try it again at some point. But then I also looked at the Dev Core, and that is way deeper into programming than I currently have that skill set. So
notice I said I'm going to attempt DevNet Professional because also remember that it took me 5 attempts to pass the DevNet Associate exam.
So how much sweeter was that pass given everything you went through, right? Like if you had just taken the exam and passed it the first time, do you think it would feel as good as it does right now?
I mean, a cert's a cert. So yeah, probably.
all right.
Not the answer you were expecting.
No,
but
it's
I
poor
was
AJ.
so done with it by the end. Like there were weeks.
You have been through hell and back.
Yeah, I had realized somewhere in the middle of studying that I had not stepped foot outside my house for 4 days.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, like I missed trash pickup day that week and I stepped outside on like a Thursday and I was like, oh my God, this is the first day that I've breathed fresh air for 4 days.
That's intense.
So yeah, that was very intense. I did have a realignment of time management after that week.
Yeah.
And I'm failing at learning that skill right now, but I'm trying. Yeah.
Well, Kori, this has been an amazing conversation. I hate to do it, but I think we're close to wrapping here. But before I do, is there anything that we should have asked you about? I mean, we've talked about so much. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about?
Oh, I want to talk about so many things, but I don't think we have enough time.
We'll have to have you back.
No, I think this was an awesome chat, and thank you guys so much for having me. I'm honored to be amongst the guests now. It's a very good podcast, and I'm excited, to follow your guys' journey the rest of the way. And Lexi, you owe me a nerd chat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Ooh,
at least one.
Maybe that's just like a separate episode that you guys just do and we record that.
AJ, stop trying to capitalize. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. We'll need to bro.
AJ, they want to be friends. Stop it.
In all seriousness, industrial, if I knew enough to talk about it on a podcast much, I would want to do an industrial, networking episode. That would be fantastic.
We can all learn together.
Yeah. Plans. Anyway.
Well, this is so much fun because we have our Patreons here chatting with us while we interview our guests. If you're interested in joining our Patreon program, you can go to patreon.com/artofneteng. Check out our different tier programs, sign up, and all of the funds that you put towards your Patreon membership go to help us take care of the show and all sorts of cool stuff, including giving back to the community with books and vouchers and other things. So please consider it today and check it out. Kori, where can people find you, follow you, get more about you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at CyberKori, CYBERKORI. That is where I do most of the things. Failing at blogging at totalpackets.com. But there is some great content there from my co-founder and mother. So that's available as well. But yeah, Twitter is always the best place to reach me. And if you are going through certs, if you're early in career, or you have someone early in career, I am trying to give back to the community as much as everybody gave to me. So I wouldn't have been able to start my career the way I have if it weren't for the community and the people around me. So please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to chat and help as much as I can.
That's awesome. Are you in our Discord by any chance?
I am not, but
you should join. Because I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people
no pressure.
In that situation, right? Early in career, trying to land a job and all sorts of stuff. We'll get you a link to the Discord and you can join and chat with us there. Awesome, Kori. Thank you so much for joining us this week. And we'll see you next time on another episode of the Art of Network Engineering podcast.
Hey y'all, this is Lexi. If you vibe with what you heard us talking about today, we'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast in your favorite podcatcher. Also, go ahead and hit that bell icon to make sure you're notified of all our future episodes right when they come out. If you want to hear what we're talking about when we're not on the podcast, you can totally follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Art of NetEng. That's Art of NETENG. You can also find a bunch more info about us and the podcast at artofnetworkengineering.com. Thanks for listening.